The warning lights came on without sound in the deep space monitoring station. Jivara looked up from her report, her three eyes focusing on the display panel that had interrupted her work. She was tired. The shift had been long and boring. Like most shifts on the edge of known space, nothing ever happened here. That was the point. But now, something was happening. Scan Leader Jivara. "We have detected an object," said Court, the young officer at the sensor station. His voice carried excitement. New officers always got excited about debris and asteroids. "It is large. Very large." Jivara stood and walked to his station. Her legs moved slowly in the low gravity of the monitoring post. She had been doing this job for 15 cycles. She knew what to expect. Some old mining ship, probably. Or a fuel container that broke free from a transport convoy. She looked at the screen and stopped walking. The object was massive. The sensors showed it was at least 3 times the size of a Kthresh dreadnought. Those were the biggest ships in the Galactic Council fleet. This thing made them look like escape pods. Thanks for watching. The sensors the chapter of ready. "How far?" she asked. 4 light hours from our position," Court replied. "It is drifting. No active propulsion. No energy signature. No energy at all?" Jivara moved closer to the screen. Her middle eye narrowed. "The one she used for detail work. None that we can detect from this range. It appears dead in space." Jivara touched the communication panel on her wrist. "This is Scan Leader Jivara to Council Station Command. We have detected a large unknown vessel in Sector 7719, requesting permission to initiate full deep scan protocol." The reply came quickly. Commander Thelnax had been waiting for something to break the boredom too. "Permission granted. Deploy the scanner array. Get me every detail about that ship." Jivara nodded to Court. "Begin the scan. Full spectrum. I want to know what that thing is made of, how old it is, and what species built it." The scanner array was the pride of the Kthresh Federation. It could see through solid metal, detect biological material, read energy patterns, and even pull data from inactive computer systems. The Galactic Council used it to inspect derelict ships before salvage operations. They used it to make sure no dangerous materials drifted into populated space. They used it to study ancient vessels from dead civilizations. It took 6 hours to deploy the array properly. Jivara called in the full team. If this was going to be interesting, she wanted the best people looking at the data. Dr. Moveth arrived first. He was the chief xenobiologist, an old Heptari, with skin that changed colors. When he was excited, right now it was shifting between blue and green, which meant he was curious but cautious. "I heard we found something big," he said, as he settled into a chair at the analysis station. "Very big," Jivara confirmed. "We are about to start the scan." Engineer Calix came next, followed by military analyst Genthrax. Genthrax was a Vor, one of the warrior species that had joined the Council 200 years ago. Even the Vor had given up large-scale warfare when they saw how much easier trade was than conquest. But Genthrax still understood military hardware better than anyone else on the station. "Scan array is in position," Court announced. "Beginning deep scan now." The screens filled with data. Layer after layer of information poured in as the scanner array sent penetrating beams through the mysterious vessel. The outer hull appeared first, rendered in perfect detail on the display. "Metal alloy," Calix said immediately. "Not one I recognize. Very dense. Multiple layers with space between them. That is strange. Why would you need 3 separate hull layers?" "Armor," Genthrax said quietly. His voice was always quiet, which made people listen more carefully. "That is military-grade armor. Triple layered. Whatever built this ship expected to be shot at. A lot." The scan went deeper. Interior spaces appeared. Corridors, rooms, cargo bays. Everything was built on a massive scale. Look at the corridor width. Dr. Moveth pointed at the screen. Those are meant for bipedal creatures. Roughly 2 meters tall, maybe slightly less. The doorways confirm it. Number 4. Can you identify the species? Jivara asked. Dr. Moveth worked his console, comparing the ship's architecture to the database of known species. The database contained information on every spacefaring race the Galactic Council had ever encountered. Millions of years of collected data. Searching. There, I have a match. He paused. His skin turned a darker blue. This is very strange. What is it? Jivara leaned over his shoulder. The ship matches design patterns from a species called humans. But that cannot be right. Why not? Because humans are listed as pre-space flight. They are from a planet called Earth, located in an isolated system far from here. The last survey was conducted 400 years ago. Quote, they had barely developed chemical rockets. Genthrax stood up and walked to the main display. Then the database is wrong. Or the survey was wrong. This is clearly an advanced vessel. Look at the size. Look at the armor. Show me the weapon systems. The scan continued to penetrate deeper into the ship. Weapons appeared on the display. Dozens of them. Hundreds of them. Projectile cannons. Energy weapons. Missile tubes. Some weapons the Kothresh had never seen before. By the Council. Calyx whispered. This is a warship. A pure warship. There are no significant cargo bays. No science labs. No diplomatic spaces. This ship was built for one purpose only. How is that possible? Jivara felt a cold sensation in her chest. Humans were primitive. Chemical rockets and early satellites. How did they build something like this? Either they advanced very quickly, Dr. Moveth said, or someone gave them the technology. Or, he did not finish the sentence. Or the survey was incomplete. Genthrax finished for him. Maybe humans were hiding their true capabilities. Some species do that. They pretend to be weak until they are strong enough to defend themselves. The scan pushed deeper. More details emerged. Power systems. Computer cores. Life support. And then something else appeared on the screen. Dr. Moveth made a sound Jivara had never heard from him before. A sharp intake of breath. His skin went completely white. What is that? She asked. Those are stasis pods, the doctor said. Thousands of them. And according to the scan, they are occupied. The room went silent. Everyone stared at the screen. The scan showed rows and rows of cylindrical chambers, each one containing a biological form. The forms were humanoid. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. Each one was suspended in some kind of preservation field. How many? Jivara asked. Court worked his console. Counting. 3,047 occupied stasis pods. 3,000 soldiers, Genthrax said. That is what this is. This is not just a warship. It is a troop carrier. Those are soldiers in those pods. But why are they in stasis? Calyx asked. Why not just have a crew and passengers? Long journey, Genthrax replied. Stasis means you do not need food, water, or air for the sleepers. You can travel for decades, or even centuries. This ship was meant to go somewhere far away. The scan went deeper still. Medical bays appeared. Large ones. With equipment that Dr. Moveth identified as surgical tools and biological modification devices. Chemical synthesis labs. Weapons training rooms with scoring systems on the walls. Armories filled with enough weapons to equip a small army. And then the scan reached something new. Large sections of the ship that were separated from the rest, sealed behind multiple doors. The scanner had trouble penetrating them. What are those spaces? Jivara asked. Containment areas, Dr. Moveth said. His voice shook slightly. Those are biological containment sections. The kind you use for dangerous specimens, or diseases, or... He trailed off. Or prisoners. Genthrax finished. This ship has prison cells. The scan pushed through the containment barriers. Inside were more chambers, but these were different. They were smaller, more secure. Each one had its own life support system. Each one had monitoring equipment. And each one contained data storage devices. I am getting text files, Court said. The ship's computer system is inactive, but there is residual data in buffer storage. The scan can read it. It is in human language. Let me run it through the translation matrix. Words appeared on the screen. Everyone in the room leaned forward to read them. Project Berserker. Classification: Absolute Black. Unauthorized access. Punishable by termination. Psychological conditioning. Complete. Fear response. Eliminated. Mercy protocols. Eliminated. Pain tolerance. Maximum. Combat effectiveness. 847%. Above. Baseline human. Risk assessment. Extreme. Not suitable for civilian contact. Recommendation. Deep space. Exile. What does that mean? Court asked. What is a berserker? Dr. Muveth was working frantically at his console, pulling up historical data about humans. I am finding something. Old records from the initial survey. Humans have a very violent history, thousands of years of almost continuous warfare. They developed weapons capable of destroying their entire planet multiple times over. They had something called world wars, where hundreds of millions died. That is impossible, Calyx said. No species destroys itself like that. And survives. Humans did. Dr. Muveth continued reading. They came close to extinction several times, but they always pulled back at the last moment. The survey team noted that humans seemed to have an unusual capacity for violence, combined with an unusual capacity for mercy. It made them unpredictable. Genthrax was staring at the screen with all his attention. These berserkers. These are modified soldiers. Humans took their own people and changed them. Removed their fear. Removed their mercy. Made them into perfect weapons. Why would anyone do that? Court asked. Because they were desperate, Genthrax said. Because they were fighting a war they thought they would lose. So they made soldiers who could not lose. Soldiers who would never stop fighting. Jivara felt sick. The cold sensation in her chest was spreading. And then they put them on a ship and sent them away. Exiled them. Why? Because the war ended, Doctor, Muveth said quietly. And they did not know what to do with soldiers who only knew how to fight. So they sent them away into deep space, where they would never find anyone. Until now, Calyx said, the scan continued automatically, penetrating deeper into the ship's core. The power systems appeared in detail. They were inactive, but the scan showed they were intact, fully functional, just sleeping. And then something happened. The scan reached the central computer core, trying to read the stored data. It sent a standard query pulse, the kind it always used to activate backup systems so it could read files. On the screen, a single light appeared in the ship's power core. Then another. Then 10 more. Then 100. What is happening? Jivara demanded. The ship is waking up, Calyx said. His voice was filled with horror. Our scan triggered something. An automatic system. Oh no. Oh no no no. On the screen, they watched as power flowed through the massive vessel. System after system came online. Engines. Weapons. Life support. And most terrifying of all, the stasis pods began to cycle. Turn off the scan, Jivara shouted. Shut it down now. I am trying. Court's hands moved frantically across his console. It is not responding. The ship has locked onto our scanner beam. It is using it as a targeting reference. The human warship began to turn. Slowly at first, then faster. Its massive bulk rotated in space until it was pointing directly at the monitoring station. On the screen, they could see inside the ship. The stasis pods were opening. One by one, the figures inside began to move. They were waking up after decades or centuries of sleep. 3,000 soldiers designed to feel no fear and show no mercy. And they had just found someone to fight. Jivara hit the emergency communication button. "This is Scan Leader Jivara. To all Council forces. We have awakened something. We need military support immediately. Send everything you have." But even as she spoke, she knew it would not be enough. She had seen the weapons on that ship. She had read the files about what those soldiers were. The humans had sent their greatest nightmare into deep space, hoping it would never find anyone. Now it had found them, and it was waking up. The TCNS, Enduring Wrath, had been drifting through the void for 83 years. In that time, it had traveled farther from human space than any vessel in the Terran colonial navy. It was never meant to return. The ship's final orders, locked in its secure computer core, were simple and absolute. Proceed to the coordinates, then continue on the same heading forever. No one expected the ship to wake up. But the alien scanner beam had penetrated deep into the vessel's systems, triggering protocols that humanity had hoped would never activate. Emergency power systems came online first, then the basic navigation computers, then the life support systems connected to the stasis pods. Inside the command pod, Colonel Sarah Chen had been sleeping for 8 decades. The last thing she remembered was the military tribunal, the verdict, the sentence, then the long walk to the stasis chamber, surrounded by guards who would not meet her eyes. Now she was waking up. And everything hurt. The stasis gel drained from her pod with a wet sucking sound. Cold air hit her skin. Chen gasped and coughed, her lungs burning as they remembered how to process oxygen. Her muscles felt like rubber, her head pounded. But her mind was already working, already assessing the situation. Something had woken them. That was not supposed to happen. The pod door opened. Chen fell forward onto her hands and knees on the cold metal floor. Around her, other pods were opening. She could hear coughing and gasping from dozens of her soldiers. Her berserkers. "Status," she croaked. Her voice sounded like gravel. "Someone give me a status report, Colonel." The voice came from her left. Lieutenant Marcus Webb, her second in command. He was pulling himself out of his own pod, looking just as bad as she felt. "Systems are coming online. I do not know why." "System, find out," Chen ordered. She forced herself to stand. Her legs shook, but held. Good. The modifications were still working. Any normal human would be unconscious for hours after that long in stasis. Berserkers could fight within minutes. She looked around the pod chamber. 300 stasis units in this section alone, all of them opening. Her soldiers were waking up, and from the look in their eyes, they were confused and angry. Bad combination for people trained to fight first and think later. "Listen up," Chen shouted. Her voice was getting stronger. "This is Colonel Chen. We have been awakened early. I need everyone to stay calm and follow procedures. Medical check first, then weapons and armor. No one leaves this chamber until I say so. Understood?" A chorus of acknowledgments came back. Rough voices, but disciplined. That was good. The training held even after 80 years of sleep. Webb made it to the wall console and activated it. Information scrolled across the screen. His face went pale. "Colonel, you need to see this." Chen walked over, still unsteady but getting better with each step. She read the display and felt ice form in her stomach. "We were scanned," she said. "Someone found the ship. Not just scanned," Webb said. "The scan penetrated our computer core. It triggered the emergency protocols. Auto-wake procedures activated for all pods. And, Colonel, our last orders are still in the system." Chen knew what that meant. The last orders. The ones given by Admiral Petrov himself, before they launched. She had hoped those orders would never matter. She had hoped they would just drift forever, eventually dying peacefully in their sleep, when the ship's power finally ran out, in a few thousand years. But now they were awake, and the orders were clear. She accessed the command console and pulled up the full tactical situation. The scanner beam was still active, providing a perfect targeting solution on its point of origin. A space station of some kind. Unknown design. Unknown species. Non-human contact. That was what the orders called it. Any non-human contact was to be treated as hostile. No, Chen whispered. This is wrong. We do not even know who they are. Orders are orders, Colonel, Webb said. He did not sound happy about it either. You know what we are. You know what they made us for. Chen did know. She remembered the conditioning, the drugs, the genetic modifications, the neural programming. They had taken 3,000 soldiers and turned them into weapons. Perfect weapons. Weapons that could not feel fear, could not hesitate, could not stop fighting until the enemy was destroyed, or they themselves were dead. The Kothresh Federation had no idea what they had just awakened. Start the full wake-up protocol, Chen ordered. All 3,000 pods. Get everyone to their stations. I want weapon systems online in 30 minutes. Colonel, are we really going to do this? Webb asked quietly. We do not even know if these aliens are hostile. They just scanned us. The orders say any foreign contact is to be eliminated, Chen said. Her voice was flat, empty. We are berserkers, Lieutenant. We follow orders. That is all we know how to do. She walked away from the console before Webb could see the expression on her face. Before he could see that she hated this just as much as he did. But hate did not matter. Feelings did not matter. They had been conditioned to ignore feelings. In the monitoring station, Jivara watched the human ship come to full power. It was terrifying. Systems that had been cold and dead for decades now burned with energy. The weapons ports opened. The ship's engines began to glow. How long until the fleet arrives? She asked Commander Thelnax over the communication link. 2 hours, the commander replied. The nearest battle group is en route at maximum speed. Can you hold out that long? Jivara looked at the human warship on her screen. It was 3 times the size of their biggest ships and bristling with weapons. Her station had defensive shields and a few light cannons. They were not a military installation. They were researchers. I do not know, she said honestly. We are going to try. Dr. Muveth was still working at his console, pulling up every piece of information about humans that the database contained. Most of it was old. Very old. But there were patterns. Arwes. PC. Win14. Arwes. Access. I found something, he said. Information about human military history. Jivara. This is very bad. Tell me. Humans have been fighting wars for their entire recorded history. Over 10,000 years of organized combat. They developed incredibly sophisticated weapons. Nuclear bombs. Biological weapons. Chemical weapons. Things that could kill millions in hours. We know about such weapons, Genthrax said. Most species develop them, and then ban them. They are too terrible to use. If humans used them, Doctor, Muveth continued. Multiple times. They dropped nuclear bombs on their own planet. On their own cities. Killed hundreds of thousands. And then, they kept fighting. The room went silent. That is insane, Calix said. No rational species does that. Human history is full of examples where they chose destruction over surrender, Dr. Muveth said. They have something they call scorched earth tactics. If they cannot win, they destroy everything so their enemy cannot have it either. They burn their own cities, poison their own water, kill their own people, rather than let them be captured. Why? Court asked. What is the point of that? Court. Spite, Genthrax said quietly. Revenge. Making sure that even if they lose, Their enemy pays a terrible price. It is not rational, but it is effective. No one wants to fight an enemy who will destroy themselves just to hurt you. There is more, Dr. Maveth said. I found records of something humans call berserkers. It is an ancient term. Warriors who worked themselves into a fighting frenzy. They felt no pain. They showed no fear. They fought until they won or died. And these humans on that ship, Javara said, they are named after those ancient warriors. Yes. But these are not ancient warriors. These are modern soldiers with advanced technology and conditioning. According to the files we scanned, they have been modified to remove psychological limits. Normal humans have mental blocks that prevent them from fighting at full capacity. Fear, hesitation, compassion. These things keep soldiers from doing maximum damage. And berserkers do not have those blocks, Genthrax finished. Correct. They can fight at full capacity all the time. They do not get tired from fear. They do not hesitate from doubt. They do not stop from mercy. They are human combat ability with all the safety systems removed. On the main screen, the human ship was fully powered now. It hung in space like a predator, watching, waiting, then it moved. The acceleration was brutal. No gradual build-up. The ship just launched itself forward like a missile. The engines burned so bright that the monitoring station's cameras had to filter the image to prevent damage. They are coming straight at us, Court said. Impact in 40 minutes, at current speed. Raise shields, Jivara ordered. Charge all defensive weapons. Send out a distress call on all frequencies. And someone try to contact that ship. Maybe we can reason with them. Court opened a communication channel. Unknown vessel. This is Kothresh Federation Monitoring Station 7. We mean you no harm. Our scan was standard procedure. Please respond. FS. Silence. Unknown vessel. Please acknowledge. We do not wish to fight. We are prepared to offer assistance if needed. Silence. Then, finally, a response. But it was not words. It was a transmission. A data packet. Dr. Muveth opened it and went completely white again. What is it? Jivara asked. It is a file from the human ship. Their personnel records. They want us to know what is coming. He put the file on the main screen. Everyone read it in horrible silence. The soldiers on the Enduring Wrath were not ordinary military. They were volunteers who had been selected for psychological profiles that showed reduced empathy and increased aggression. Then, they had been conditioned further. Trained. Modified. They had fought in something humans called the Unification Wars. A series of conflicts where different human factions battled for control of their home system. The wars had lasted 30 years. Over 2 billion humans had died. These berserkers had been created in the final years, when both sides were desperate for any advantage. The records showed their combat effectiveness. One berserker soldier was worth 10 normal soldiers. They could fight for days without sleep. They felt injuries but ignored them. They used tactics that normal humans found too brutal, too harsh, too cruel. And when the wars ended, humanity had 3,000 of these soldiers, and no idea what to do with them. They could not be returned to civilian life. They could not be cured. The conditioning was too deep. The modifications too permanent. So, humanity had made a choice. Exile them. Put them on a ship. Send them away into deep space with no destination. Let them sleep forever, far from anyone they could hurt. They were trying to protect us, Doctor, Maveth said softly. Humanity sent these soldiers away, so they would never fight again. They exiled their own people to keep them from harming others. And we woke them up, Jivara said. She felt sick. Truly sick. We scanned their ship and triggered their awakening. This is our fault. It does not matter whose fault it is, Genthrax said. He was checking the weapons console. They are coming. We have to defend ourselves. The human ship was closer now, 20 minutes to impact. On the screen, they could see the weapons ports, glowing with stored energy. They are not going to talk, Genthrax said. They are going to attack. This is what they were made for. This is all they know. Jivara knew he was right. But she also knew something else. She knew that somewhere in that ship were 3,000 soldiers who never asked to be created, never asked to be conditioned, never asked to be turned into weapons. They were victims too, but that would not save her station. It would not save her crew. The first missile launched from the Enduring Wrath, then 10 more, then 100. The battle was beginning, and the Cuthresh Federation had no idea how badly they had underestimated what humans could become when they embraced their capacity for war. The Cuthresh military had fought wars before, but not for 300 years. When the Galactic Council formed, most member species agreed that war was inefficient. Trade disputes were resolved through economic pressure. Territory conflicts were mediated by neutral parties. If fighting became absolutely necessary, species engaged in limited combat with strict rules. 2 champions would meet. They would fight. The winner's side would gain the disputed resource or territory. Everyone else went home. Total casualties were usually 2 beings. Sometimes only 1, if the loser survived. It was civilized. It was efficient. It was how advanced species handled disagreements. The Cathresh Battle Group 7 was commanded by Fleet Admiral Zenthar, a career military officer who had never actually fought in real combat. His experience came from simulations and exercises. He had read the histories of ancient wars. He understood tactics and strategy in theory. But theory was about to meet something it could never have prepared him for. "Admiral, we are approaching the monitoring station," his communications officer reported. "Long-range scans show the human vessel is engaged with station defenses. Put it on screen," Zenthar ordered. The main display showed the battle. It was already over. The monitoring station was still there, but barely. Its shields were down. 2 of its defensive turrets were destroyed. The third was firing uselessly at the human warship, which simply ignored the attacks. The Enduring Wrath hung in space near the crippled station, not firing anymore, just waiting. "Why did they stop?" asked Captain Vorix, Zenthar's tactical officer. "They are waiting for us," Zenthar said. He felt cold. The human ship had destroyed a defended station in less than 20 minutes. His battle group consisted of 50 ships, cruisers, destroyers, and his flagship dreadnought. It was the largest concentration of Cathresh military power in this sector. Looking at that human vessel, he wondered if it would be enough. "All ships, battle formation," he ordered. "Long-range engagement pattern. We will maintain distance and use our superior numbers." The Cathresh fleet spread out, forming a sphere around the human warship at maximum weapons range. It was good tactics. Surround the enemy. Attack from all sides. Use your numbers to overwhelm them. Target their engines first, Zenthar commanded. If we can disable their movement, we can avoid further casualties. 50 ships fired together. Energy beams and missiles converged on the Enduring Wrath from every direction. It was enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The human ship moved. It did not dodge gracefully. It did not perform complex, evasive maneuvers. It simply accelerated straight at the nearest Cathresh destroyer, at a speed that should have torn the ship apart from the G-forces alone. Most of the weapons' fire missed. The few shots that hit were absorbed by the ship's heavy armor. Explosions bloomed across the hull. But when the smoke cleared, the Enduring Wrath was still intact, and it was still moving. "What are they doing?" Captain Vorix shouted. "They are on a collision course with the Valor's Edge." The Cathresh destroyer tried to move. It was too slow. The human warship crashed into it at full speed. But this was not a simple collision. At the last second, the Enduring Wrath fired every weapon on its forward arc, point blank, into the destroyer. The Cathresh ship exploded. Just exploded. One moment it was there, The next, it was an expanding cloud of debris and atmosphere. By the council, someone whispered. The human ship emerged from the explosion barely damaged. It spun in space, using the momentum from the collision to change direction. Its weapons were already locking onto the next target. All ships scatter, Zenthar ordered. Do not let them close to engagement range. But it was too late for 3 more ships. The enduring wrath had already selected them. Missiles launched. Energy weapons fired. And something else came from the human vessel. Small objects, hundreds of them. What are those? Vorix asked. Unknown projectiles, the sensor officer reported. They are drones. Attack drones, moving at high speed. The drones swarmed 2 K-Thresh cruisers like insects. They attached to the hulls and exploded. But these were not normal explosives. They were shaped charges, designed to punch through armor. Dozens of small holes appeared in each ship. They are venting atmosphere, someone reported. The cruisers are depressurizing. Zenthar watched in horror as the 2 cruisers lost power. Emergency lights flickered. The ships were still intact, but they were disabled, dead in space. The 3rd targeted ship tried to run. It turned and engaged maximum acceleration. The human warship pursued. It was faster. Much faster. It caught up in less than a minute. And then, something happened that made Zenthar's blood freeze. The human ship did not destroy the fleeing cruiser. Instead, it matched velocity and fired grappling lines. Magnetic clamps locked onto the K-Thresh hull. And then, airlocks opened on both ships. They are boarding, Captain Vorix said. They are taking the ship. Why? Zenthar could not understand. Why board, when they could just destroy it? The answer came from Dr. Moveth, back at the monitoring station. He had been providing analysis throughout the battle. They want the navigation data. They need to know where they are, where we came from. They are gathering intelligence. But that means... Zenthar did not finish the sentence. Yes, Dr. Moveth said quietly. It means they plan to attack more targets. This is not just a defensive action. They are preparing for an offensive campaign. Surveillance feeds from the boarded cruiser appeared on the screen. The K-Thresh crew had activated every camera, hoping the footage would provide useful intelligence. What they showed was a nightmare. The human soldiers came through the airlocks fast. They moved like water, flowing through corridors in perfect coordination. They wore armor, black and angular, covered with weapons. Each one carried multiple guns and blades. The K-Thresh crew tried to resist. They had weapons. They had defensive positions. They had training. It did not matter. The berserkers moved through the ship like they had memorized the layout already. They used grenades to clear rooms. They used their own bodies as shields, stepping into weapons fire to protect the soldiers behind them. When they were hit, they barely slowed down. One camera showed a berserker take 3 energy blasts to the chest. The armor cracked. Smoke poured from the wounds. The soldier fell to one knee, and then stood back up and kept fighting. How? Someone on Zenthar's bridge whispered. How? Are they still moving? Pain tolerance, Dr. Moveth explained. And conditioning. They know they are hurt. They just do not care. Their nervous systems have been modified to ignore non-critical damage. Unless you destroy the brain or the heart, they will keep fighting. The boarding action took 8 minutes. The K-Thresh crew fought bravely. They killed 6 of the human soldiers. But there were 300 berserkers on that boarding party. The K-Thresh crew numbered 60. It was over quickly. The last camera feed showed the berserker commander standing on the bridge of the captured cruiser. She was a woman, tall and scarred, with cold eyes. She looked directly at the camera. "I am Colonel Sarah Chen of the Terran Colonial Navy," she said. "To whoever is watching this, you scanned our ship. You woke us up. You have made an enemy of humanity. You should have left us sleeping." Then she crushed the camera with her armored hand. The feed went dark. On Zenthar's bridge, Everyone was silent. They had just watched 3,000 years of civilized warfare doctrine be torn apart by 8 minutes of human combat. "Admiral," Captain Vorik said quietly. "What do we do?" Zenthar looked at his fleet status. They had lost 4 ships in less than an hour. The human warship was barely damaged. And now they knew the berserkers were not just going to destroy ships. They were going to capture them, study them, learn from them. "We need to retreat," someone said. "We are not equipped for this kind of fighting. If we retreat, they will follow," Genthrax said. He had transferred to the flagship to provide tactical advice. "You saw how fast their ship is. They will hunt down any vessel that runs. And now they have navigation data. They know where our worlds are. Then what do we do?" Zenthar demanded. "We cannot fight them. We do not know how to fight like this." "Neither do they," Genthrax said. "Not really. They know how to fight humans. They are trained to battle their own kind. We are different. Our biology is different. Our technology is different. They are learning about us, but we can learn about them too." "How?" Zenthar asked. "Watch how they fight," Genthrax said. "They are aggressive. They take risks. They sacrifice their own soldiers to achieve objectives. That is a weakness. They assume their enemies fight the same way. We do not." He brought up tactical displays showing the battle. They charged into close range. They ignored damage. They used their ships and soldiers as weapons, even when it meant heavy casualties. That works against humans, because humans fight the same way. But we do not have to. What are you suggesting? Hit-and-run tactics. Long-range engagement only. Target their weapons and engines, not their armor. If one of our ships is damaged, we destroy it ourselves, so they cannot board it. We give them no intelligence, no supplies, no victories. You want us to destroy our own ships? Captain Vorik sounded horrified. "Better that than let them capture it," Genthrax said. "Every ship they take makes them stronger. Every battle teaches them more about us. We have to deny them that knowledge." Zenthar understood. It was harsh, but it made sense. The Kthresh had never fought an enemy like this before. They needed new tactics. "Implement it," he ordered. "All ships maintain maximum distance. Rotating fire patterns. If any ship is boarded, self-destruct rather than allow capture. And someone contact the Council. We need reinforcements. Lots of them." 4. 2. The battle continued for 3 more days. The Kthresh fleet learned quickly. They stopped trying to close with the human ship. They used long-range weapons exclusively. When the berserkers tried to board disabled vessels, the Kresh destroyed those vessels. It was brutal. It went against everything the Kthresh believed about warfare. They were destroying their own ships and killing their own people to prevent capture. But it worked. Mostly. The enduring wrath was still hunting them. It was faster than their ships. It had better weapons. It had soldiers who never stopped, never gave up, never showed mercy. After 3 days, Zenthar had lost 23 ships, almost half his fleet. The human warship showed significant damage now, but it was still operational, still dangerous. And then they received a transmission from Kthresh High Command. "Admiral Zenthar, this is Council Command. Reinforcements are en route, 200 ships from the main fleet. ETA. 14 hours. Can you hold until then?" Zenthar looked at his fleet status. 27 ships left. The berserkers had adapted to their new tactics and were finding ways around them. It was like fighting an intelligent virus that learned from every encounter. "I do not know," he said honestly. "But we will try." Colonel Chen stood on the bridge of the Enduring Wrath and studied the tactical situation. Her ship was damaged. She had lost 438 soldiers. The aliens had proven smarter than expected. They were not fighting like humans. They were not taking the bait. They were learning. "Good. That made this interesting." "Status on the captured navigation data?" she asked. "Fully analyzed," Lieutenant Webb reported. We know where we are. We have coordinates for multiple Kothresh systems, population centers, military bases, industrial complexes, and the prisoners from the boarded ships? Interrogated. We have basic language translation now. Enough to understand their communication protocols. Chen nodded. Everything was proceeding as planned. The Kothresh thought they were fighting a defensive battle. They thought the berserkers were just trying to survive. They were wrong. This had never been about survival. It had been about the mission, the orders. And the orders were clear. Eliminate all foreign contacts. Prepare for Phase 2. Chen ordered. We have gathered enough intelligence. It is time to take the fight to them. Colonel, Webb said quietly. The prisoners. What do we do with them? Chen looked at him. For a moment, something flickered in her eyes. Something that might have been regret, or guilt, or pain. Then it was gone. Jettison them, she said. In escape pods. Give them a chance to be recovered. We are not monsters. Yes, Colonel, but as Chen watched the tactical display, she wondered if that was really true. They were weapons designed to kill. Programmed to destroy. The conditioning ran deep, deeper than thought. They were not monsters, but they were not exactly human anymore either, and the Kothresh Federation was about to learn exactly what that meant. The escape pods streamed away from the enduring wrath, like seeds from a dying flower. Inside, each one was a Kothresh prisoner, confused and terrified, but alive. The Kothresh fleet scrambled to recover them, pulling ships away from the battle line to collect their people. It was mercy. Of a kind. But Colonel Chen knew it was also strategy. The rescued prisoners would tell their commanders everything they had seen inside the human warship. They would describe the berserkers, the weapons, the cold efficiency of soldiers who viewed combat as a mathematical problem to be solved. Fear was a weapon too. Sometimes more effective than guns. All pods away, Lieutenant Webb reported. The Kothresh fleet is dispersing to recover them. Good, Chen said. That gives us an opening. Helm. New course. Take us to the coordinates from the captured navigation data. The Kothresh colony, at Theta 7. Webb turned to look at her. Colonel. That is a civilian target. Population 3 million. No military significance. It is a logistics hub, Chen corrected. Food production, water processing, raw materials. If we destroy it, we cripple their supply chain. The military ships will have to return home for resupply. It is still 3 million civilians. Chen met his eyes. Her expression was blank. Empty. We are berserkers, Lieutenant. We follow the mission parameters. Eliminate all foreign contacts that could threaten humanity. These aliens found us. They woke us. They are now a potential threat to human space. We do not even know if they have had any contact with humanity, Webb said. For all we know, humans are still confined to their home system. These aliens might never find Earth. Might is not acceptable, Chen said. Our orders are clear. Any non-human contact is to be neutralized. That is what we were created to do. That is what we will do. Webb was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded. Yes, Colonel. But as he turned away, Chen saw the expression on his face. Doubt, hesitation, maybe even disgust. Good. That meant part of him was still human, still capable of questioning orders. She wished she could feel the same way. But the conditioning ran too deep. When she tried to question the mission, her thoughts slid away like water off metal. Her mind would not let her consider alternatives. The neural programming saw to that. She was a weapon. Weapons did not have doubts. The enduring wrath broke away from the battle, its engines burning bright as it accelerated toward the colony world. Behind them, the Kothresh fleet was in chaos, trying to recover prisoners and reorganize their formation. By the time they realized where the human ship was going, it would be too late. Admiral Zenthar watched the human warship disappear from his sensors and felt his heart sink. He had 3 of them. a feature of Cathresh biology that usually made him feel secure. Right now, all three were beating fast with fear. Where are they going? Captain Vorix demanded. The navigation officer worked frantically at her console. Calculating their trajectory, they are heading toward the inner system. Toward Theta 7. That is a colony world, Zenthar said. 3 million civilians. Light defenses only. They are going to attack it, Genthrax said. He sounded tired, defeated. This is classic human warfare doctrine from their old wars. If you cannot defeat the enemy military, you attack their logistics, their production, their civilian population. But why? Vorix asked. What do they gain from killing civilians? Terror, Genthrax said. Psychological warfare. And practical advantage. If they destroy Theta 7, we lose 20% of our food production for this sector. Ships will have to return to core worlds for resupply. It weakens us. We have to stop them, Zenthar said. All ships, maximum acceleration, plot and intercept course. Admiral, they have a 6-hour head start, the navigation officer reported. At current speeds, they will reach Theta 7 8 hours before we do. 8 hours. Enough time for the berserkers to do terrible damage. Send a message to Theta 7, Zenthar ordered. Tell them to evacuate. Get everyone off planet if possible. If not, get them into shelters. The communications officer shook her head. Admiral, Theta 7 has 3 million people. They have transport capacity for maybe 50,000. There is no way to evacuate everyone in 8 hours. Then they evacuate who they can, Zenthar said. And pray. He had never been religious. The Cathresh had moved past superstition centuries ago, but right now, watching the human ship race toward a defenseless colony, he found himself hoping that maybe the universe would show mercy where the berserkers would not. On Theta 7, Governor Ralik received the warning with disbelief that quickly turned to terror. 3 million people. 8 hours. An enemy warship that had destroyed a dozen military vessels. Start the evacuation, she ordered. Priority to children and essential personnel. Everyone else to the underground shelters. The colony had shelters, built centuries ago when the world was first settled and the danger of meteor strikes was real. They had not been used in generations. Many were neglected, half forgotten. Now they were the only hope. Alarms blared across the colony. People poured into the streets, confused and frightened. The evacuation was chaos. Parents clutched children. The elderly were helped along by younger neighbors. Transport ships launched from the spaceport, each one packed far beyond safe capacity. Governor Ralik stood in the command center and watched the surveillance feeds. So many people. Too many people. They would never evacuate them all. Not in 8 hours. Not in 8 days. How many have we evacuated so far? She asked. 32,000, her aide reported. But the transports need time to reach orbit and jump to hyperspace before they can return. We will get maybe one more cycle before the humans arrive. 60,000 saved. If they were lucky. That left more than 2 million. 900,000 still on the planet. Open a communication channel, Ralik said. All frequencies. I want to speak to the human ship. The communications officer looked doubtful but complied. Channel open, Governor. But I do not know if they will respond. Ralik spoke into the microphone. Human vessel, enduring wrath. This is Governor Ralik of Theta 7 Colony. We are a civilian population. We have no military capabilities. We are not your enemy. Please, I am begging you. Do not attack us. Silence. She tried again. We have children here. Families. People who have never hurt anyone. Whatever conflict you have with our military forces, these people are not part of it. Please, show mercy. More silence. Then, finally, a response. The voice was female, cold and mechanical. This is Colonel Chen of the Terran Colonial Navy. You scanned our vessel. You woke us from exile. The consequences are yours to bear. You have 6 hours to evacuate. After that, we begin our assault. 6 hours is not enough, Ralik shouted. We need more time. You will have what we give you, Chen replied. Use it wisely. The channel closed. Ralik stared at the communications panel. 6 hours. The human had given them 6 hours. Not 8. 6. That meant they were arriving faster than projected. Double the evacuation efforts, she ordered. And get me the council. I do not care who I have to wake up or what meetings I have to interrupt. The council needs to authorize an emergency response. But even as she gave the orders, she knew the truth. The council was light years away. Even their fastest couriers would take days to reach them. By the time they could authorize anything, Theta 7 would already be gone. Aboard the Enduring Wrath, Colonel Chen stood on the bridge and watched the colony world grow larger on the view screen. It was a pleasant planet. Blue and green. Clouds drifted across continents. From orbit, it looked peaceful. Weapons range in 30 minutes, the tactical officer reported. Targets identified. Population centers. Infrastructure. Power generation. Hold fire until my order, Chen said. Lieutenant Webb approached her. Colonel, I need to speak with you. In private. Chen considered refusing. But Webb was her second in command. He deserved to be heard. She gestured to the ready room off the bridge. They entered, and the door closed behind them. Say what you need to say, Chen ordered. This is wrong, Webb said. Colonel, I know the orders. I know the conditioning. But this is wrong, and you know it. Those people down there did not attack us. They did not even know we existed until a few days ago. They are a potential threat. No, Webb said. They are not. You are choosing to see them as a threat, because that is what the conditioning tells you to see. But we are still human, Colonel. Somewhere under the programming and the drugs and the genetic modifications, we are still human, and humans have a choice. We are berserkers, Chen said. We do not have choices. We have orders. Then, the orders are wrong. Webb's voice rose. Colonel, please. I am begging you. Do not do this. Do not kill 3 million people who have done nothing to us. Chen looked at him. Really looked at him. She saw the desperation in his eyes. The pleading. He was still fighting the conditioning, still trying to hold on to his humanity. She envied him. I understand your objection, she said. It is noted. But the mission continues. Sarah, Webb said, using her first name. He had not done that in decades. Please, do not let them turn us into monsters. We were soldiers. We defended humanity. This is not defense. This is murder. For a moment, just a moment. Chen felt something crack inside her. A tiny fracture in the wall of conditioning. She saw herself clearly. A woman standing on a ship, about to order the destruction of a planet full of innocent people. Her hand started to shake. Then the conditioning reasserted itself. The fracture sealed. The programming overrode her doubts. Return to your station, Lieutenant, she said. Her voice was cold again, empty again. We attack in 30 minutes. Webb stared at her. Then he turned and left without another word. Chen stood alone in the ready room. Her hand was still shaking. She forced it to be still. She was a weapon. Weapons did not doubt. Weapons did not question. Weapons did their job, but somewhere, very deep, buried under layers of conditioning and programming, a small voice whispered that maybe Lieutenant Webb was right. Maybe they had become monsters, and maybe that was worse than any enemy they had ever been created to fight. On Theta 7, Governor Ralik watched the human ship appear in orbit. It hung there like a predator. Weapons ports glowed with stored energy. The ship's scanners swept across the colony, cataloging targets, calculating casualties. Final evacuation count, Relic said quietly. 97,000, her aide reported. The last transport just jumped to hyperspace. 97,000 saved. 2,903,000 still on the planet. Ralik thought about evacuating herself. She had a ship. She could leave. Save herself. But she was the governor. These were her people. If they were going to die, she would die with them. Open a final channel to the human ship, she said. Governor, I do not think. Do it. The channel opened. Ralik spoke. And this time, she did not plead. She did not beg. She simply spoke the truth. Colonel Chen, I know you are going to attack. I know I cannot stop you. But I want you to understand something. When you fire your weapons, you will not be killing enemies. You will be killing farmers, and teachers, and engineers and children. You will be killing people who sing, and laugh, and love. You will be killing people who never wanted to fight anyone. She paused. I do not know what happened to you. I do not know what your people did to you to turn you into what you are. But I know this. When this is over, when the battle is won or lost, you will still have to live with what you have done here today. And I hope that knowledge haunts you forever. The channel closed. Ralik sat down and waited for the end. On the bridge of the enduring wrath, Colonel Chen heard every word. She stood perfectly still, her face expressionless. All weapons charged and ready, the tactical officer reported. Awaiting your order, Colonel. Chen opened her mouth to give the command. The word was right there. Fire. One word. That was all it would take. She could not say it. The conditioning pushed at her. The programming screamed at her to give the order. But something else, something deeper, was pushing back. Lieutenant Webb watched her from his station. Waiting. Hoping. The entire bridge crew watched. Waiting for the order that would kill 3 million people. Colonel Sarah Chen, berserker, weapon, soldier, stood frozen between what she was programmed to be and what she might still be able to choose to become. And for the first time in 80 years, she felt something she had thought was gone forever. Fear. Not fear of the enemy. Fear of herself. Fear of what she was about to do. The conditioning had removed her fear of combat. But it had not removed her fear of becoming something unforgivable. Colonel? The tactical officer asked. Your orders? Chen's hand was shaking again. Her whole body was shaking. And somewhere, 3 million people held their breath and waited to see if monsters could still remember how to be human. The moment stretched. On the bridge of the enduring wrath, nobody moved. 3 million lives hung in the balance, waiting for one word from Colonel Sarah Chen. Her finger hovered over the firing control. The conditioning screamed at her to press it. The programming demanded obedience. The orders were clear. Eliminate the threat. Complete the mission. But Governor Ralik's words echoed in her mind. You will be killing farmers and teachers and engineers and children. Colonel? The tactical officer asked again, more urgently this time. Chen's vision blurred. For a moment, she could not tell if she was on the bridge of a warship or back in the conditioning center all those years ago. Doctors standing over her. Needles. Drugs. The feeling of her mind being reshaped like clay. What had they done to her? What had they made her? Stand down, she whispered. Colonel? The tactical officer was not sure he had heard correctly. Stand down, Chen shouted. Her voice cracked. All weapons. Cease targeting. Helm. Move us to a high orbit. Now. The bridge crew stared at her in shock. Then they moved, following orders out of instinct and training. The enduring wrath's weapons powered down. The ship climbed to a higher orbit, away from the colony. Lieutenant Webb let out a breath he had not realized he was holding. Colonel. Chen held up a hand to silence him. She touched the communications panel. Governor Ralik. This is Colonel Chen. We are standing down. You have You have 24 hours to complete your evacuation. After that, we will need to make contact with your military command to discuss terms. Terms? Rallick's voice was shaking. Terms for what? Surrender, Chen said. Mine, not yours. I am done following these orders. I need to speak with whoever is in charge of your government. And I need to speak with humanity. If humanity still exists. The Recover. In Remender. I need to speak with humanity. If humanity still exists. The communication ended. Chen collapsed into the command chair. Her whole body was shaking now. The conditioning was fighting back, causing physical pain as her programming tried to force compliance. Her head felt like it was splitting open. Medical team to the bridge, Webb said quickly. No, Chen gasped. No medical. They will fix the conditioning. Make me follow orders again. I cannot. I will not. Then what do you need? Chen looked up at him with tears streaming down her face. I need to know if we can still be human. I need to know if we can be saved. 3 weeks later, a small human diplomatic vessel dropped out of hyperspace near Theta 7. It was unarmed, unarmored, and flying a white flag according to ancient Earth traditions. But it was escorted by something that made every K-Thresh sensor in the system scream warnings. The Earth Defense Fleet had arrived. 20 massive warships, each one larger than the Enduring Wrath. Each one carrying weapons that made the Berserker ship look like a toy. These were humanity's actual military, not exile ships or weapons from old wars. This was what humanity could build when they put their full industrial capacity behind it. Admiral Zenthar looked at the fleet on his screens and felt all 3 of his hearts skip beats. His battle group had been reinforced to 300 ships. The Council had sent everything they could spare. It was not going to be enough, not even close. Incoming transmission from the human diplomatic vessel, the communications officer reported. Put it through, Zenthar said. An elderly human woman appeared on the screen. She had gray hair and kind eyes. She wore a simple suit with no military decorations. She looked like someone's grandmother. I am Ambassador Chen of the Terran Diplomatic Corps, she said. Her voice was warm but firm. I am here to discuss the situation with the TCNS, Enduring Wrath, and its crew. May I come aboard your flagship to speak in person? Zenthar hesitated. Then he nodded. You may. Are here for one purpose only, Ambassador Chen interrupted. To ensure I can do my job safely. They will not attack unless fired upon first. You have my word. The diplomatic shuttle docked with Zenthar's flagship an hour later. Ambassador Chen was accompanied by only 2 guards, both unarmed except for ceremonial sidearms. She met Zenthar in the main conference room. Thank you for seeing me, Admiral, she said, sitting down without waiting for an invitation. I understand. This has been a difficult few weeks for everyone involved. Your Berserker ship killed over 2,000 of my people, Zenthar said. Difficult is not the word I would use. I know, Ambassador Chen said, and I am deeply, truly sorry. The Enduring Wrath should never have been awakened. Those soldiers should have been allowed to sleep forever. Yet, you created them, Genthrax said. He had joined the meeting as military advisor. You made weapons out of your own people. Yes, the ambassador said simply. We did. And it is one of the greatest shames in human history. She pulled out a data pad and placed it on the table. Let me tell you a story. 80 years ago, humanity was at war with itself. The Unification Wars. Different factions fighting for control of the solar system. Over 2 billion people died in 30 years of fighting. She tapped the datapad and images appeared. Cities destroyed. Fleets burning. Soldiers fighting in the ruins of what used to be homes. In the final years, both sides were desperate. The Mars Coalition created the Berserker Corps. They took volunteers, soldiers who were willing to be modified, to be conditioned, to give up their humanity in exchange for becoming perfect weapons. Why? Dr. Muveth asked. He had also been invited to the meeting as a xenobiology expert. Because they thought they were going to lose, Ambassador Chen said, and they believed that if they lost, humanity would be extinct. So they made soldiers who could not lose. Soldiers who had no fear, no mercy, no hesitation. She tapped the pad again. More images. Medical procedures. Conditioning centers. Soldiers with empty eyes. It worked, she continued. The Berserker Corps turned the war. The Mars Coalition won. Humanity survived. And then, we had 3,000 soldiers who only knew how to fight, who had been programmed so deeply that they could not stop, could not be fixed, could not be made civilian again. So you exiled them, Jivara said. She had also been brought to the meeting. After all, she was the one who had scanned the ship. Yes, Ambassador Chen said. We could not kill them. They were still human. They had volunteered to save humanity. They deserved better than execution. But we could not keep them either. They were too dangerous. So we made a choice that haunts us still. We put them on a ship and sent them away. Far away, where they would never find anyone. Where they could sleep forever, in peace. Until we woke them, Jivara said quietly. Until you woke them, the ambassador confirmed. And for that, I do not blame you. You were following standard procedures. You had no way of knowing what you would find. This is humanity's fault, not yours. Admiral Zenthar leaned forward. What happens now, Ambassador? Your fleet outnumbers and outguns everything we have in this sector. Are you here to conquer us? Ambassador Chen looked shocked. Conquer you? Admiral, no. We are here to clean up our mess and prevent any further tragedy. She stood and walked to the window overlooking the planet. Colonel Sarah Chen, the commander of the Enduring Wrath, is my niece. When I learned she was still alive, still leading those poor soldiers, I volunteered to come here personally. I need to bring them home. Home? Genthrax asked. I thought you said they could not be fixed. They cannot be cured, Ambassador Chen said. The conditioning is permanent, but they can be helped. In the 80 years since they were exiled, humanity has developed new treatments, new therapies. We cannot make them civilian, but we can teach them to live with the conditioning, give them purpose beyond war. She turned back to face them. And most importantly, we can make sure they never hurt anyone innocent again. That is why I am here. To ask for your help in bringing them home safely. You want our help? Zenthar could not believe it. Why? Because my niece will not surrender to an all-human force, Ambassador Chen said. The conditioning will see it as betrayal. She will fight. All 3,000 of them will fight. And while our fleet would win eventually, hundreds or thousands would die on both sides. She looked at each of them in turn. But if you are there, if the Kathresh are part of the operation, it becomes something different. It becomes a joint mission. Human and Kathresh working together to resolve a crisis. That is something the conditioning can accept. That is something Sarah can accept. The room was silent. Finally, Admiral Zenthar spoke. What exactly are you proposing? A joint operation, Ambassador Chen said. Your ships and mine. Working together to capture the Enduring Wrath. We use non-lethal weapons. Boarding parties from both species. We subdue the berserkers, but we do it carefully, with respect. They are victims in this too, Admiral. They never asked to be made into weapons. They killed my people, Zenthar said. I know, the ambassador replied, and that cannot be undone. But more killing will not fix it. Let us end this with as few casualties as possible. Please. Zenthar looked at his advisors. Genthrax nodded slowly. Dr. Muveth did the same. Even Jivara, who had started this whole situation, was nodding. Very well, Zenthar said. We will help. But Ambassador, I want your promise. Those soldiers will never be released. Never be allowed to hurt anyone again. You have my word, Ambassador Chen said. They will be taken to a secure facility on Earth. They will receive treatment and care. But they will never be free. That is the price they pay for what they became, even if it was not their choice. The joint operation took 3 days to plan. Human and K-Thresh ships worked together, coordinating movements, sharing tactical data. It was awkward at first. The species had different communication protocols, different strategies, different philosophies of combat, but they learned. Quickly, the operation began at dawn on Theta 7. The combined fleet surrounded the enduring Wrath in high orbit. The human ships used electromagnetic pulse weapons to disable the Berserker ship's weapons. The K-Thresh ships used tractor beams to hold it in place. Then, the boarding parties launched. Human Marines and K-Thresh soldiers side by side. They moved through the enduring Wrath together, using non-lethal weapons. Stun guns, gas grenades, sonic disruptors. The Berserkers fought back. Of course they did. That was what they were made to do. But this time, it was different. The boarding teams did not try to kill them. They subdued them, restrained them, treated them with care even as they fought. And the Berserkers, confused by enemies who refused to kill even when given the chance, began to hesitate, to doubt, to question. Colonel Sarah Chen was found on the bridge, standing over the tactical console. She had a pistol in her hand. She could have fought, could have gone down, fighting like a berserker should. Instead, she put the gun down when she saw her aunt walk onto the bridge. "Hello, Sarah," Ambassador Chen said softly. "Hello, Aunt May," Colonel Chen replied. Her face was wet with tears. "I am sorry. I am so sorry for everything." "I know," Mei Chen said. "Come home now. It is time to come home." Sarah Chen collapsed. Her soldiers, seeing their commander surrender, began to stand down. One by one, they put down their weapons. Some fought until they were stunned. Others surrendered willingly, too exhausted to keep fighting. By nightfall, all 3,000 berserkers were in custody. Not one had been killed. The joint operation had been a complete success. 3 months later, Admiral Zenthar attended a ceremony on Earth. The Galactic Council had officially recognized humanity as a member species. Trade agreements were signed. Diplomatic channels were opened. A new era of cooperation began. But Zenthar also attended another, smaller ceremony. In a secure medical facility deep underground, a memorial was being dedicated. Names carved in stone. All the K-Thresh who had died fighting the Berserkers. Ambassador Chen stood beside him, looking at the memorial. "They will never be forgotten," she said quietly. "And the Berserkers will spend the rest of their lives making sure their sacrifice meant something. We are training them to be rescue workers, medical responders, using their enhanced abilities to save lives instead of taking them." "Can it really work?" Zenthar asked. "Can people programmed to kill become people who save?" "I do not know," Ambassador Chen said honestly. "But we have to try. Because the alternative is to give up on them completely. And if we do that, then we are admitting that some people cannot be saved. That some mistakes cannot be fixed. I am not ready to accept that." Zenthar looked at the names on the memorial. So many dead. So much pain. But also, somehow, hope. Hope that enemies could become allies. Hope that weapons could become tools for good. Hope that even the darkest parts of humanity could be redeemed. "Neither am I," he said. Years later, the story of the enduring Wrath became legend in the Galactic Council. A cautionary tale about the dangers of scanning unknown vessels. But also a story about mercy, about second chances, about the choice between vengeance and forgiveness. The K-Thresh added a new entry to their database of known species. Under humanity, they added a warning: approach with respect. Approach with caution. They have known horrors that would break us, because those horrors came from within them. They are kind and they are gentle. But they know darkness intimately. They have stared into the abyss and pulled themselves back. Treat them with the honor that struggle deserves, and never, ever, scan their derelict ships without asking first. And in the secure facility on Earth, Colonel Sarah Chen taught rescue techniques to her soldiers. Former berserkers learning to pull people from collapsed buildings instead of bringing buildings down. Learning to heal instead of hurt. It was hard. The conditioning fought them every day. Some days were better than others. But they were trying, and sometimes, trying was enough. Sarah Chen stood in the training room and watched her soldiers practice. She thought about Governor Rallick's words, about being haunted by what she had almost done. The governor was right. Sarah was haunted. Every day, she saw those 3 million lives she had almost ended. Every day, she remembered the moment she had stood on the bridge with her finger on the trigger. But she also remembered making a different choice. Choosing humanity over programming. Choosing mercy over orders. She was a weapon. That would never change. The conditioning made sure of that. But maybe, just maybe, a weapon could choose what it was aimed at, and she chose to aim at helping instead of hurting. It would never make up for the 2,000 Kthresh who had died. It would never erase the guilt, but it was something, and sometimes, something was enough. The universe was vast and full of wonders and terrors. Humanity had shown the galaxy both sides of their nature, the capacity for terrible violence and the capacity for redemption. The Kthresh and the Council would never forget what they had witnessed when they scanned that human warship, the horror beyond comprehension. But they would also never forget what came after, the humanity that pulled itself back from the brink, the choice to be better than what they had been made to be. That was the real lesson of the enduring wrath. Not that humans could become monsters, but that even monsters could choose to become human again.